Can everybody see my screen okay? Yeah? All right. So hi, everyone. I'm Kevin, product designer in Growth. And today I'm going to showcase some simple changes that we worked on with the conversion team that hopefully are going to result to hopefully are going to lead to significant results. So as Jackie highlighted, this presentation's got a bunch of different small things. And I try to keep it bite-sized so we can stop in the middle and discuss it. So if you see me stop and asking for a question, this is part of the presentation. This is not the end of the presentation. So one of the first experiment that we ran was a couple of copy changes and one on the user onboarding. So in the last showcase, I briefly touched on this, but when we experimented on the new user onboarding, we prompted user with this screen before they enter the app. We were basically asking them, how would they describe themselves in terms of like professional using DevOps, like were they novice or experienced? And what we noticed is that a majority of people were choosing novice. But at this time, we were reluctant on concluding that a majority of software developers that were signing for GitLab SaaS were novice, mainly because of this CTA that I highlighted. Because we thought that show me everything at this stage of the flow could really bias you to pick this option. So if you were experienced, most likely you also want to see everything at this time, right? So to verify that, we run, I mean, it's not an experiment, but we basically changed the copy and we noted the date where we did this to see how this would affect the distribution. So what we did was just to remove the show me everything and swap it with show me the basics for novice. And for more experienced users, we just added show me advanced feature. And at this time, we had good hope that the distribution would change because we thought that this was much clearer. But this is actually what happened. Nothing changed, not that much. We had 76% of people declaring themselves as novice. Now we have 74. So this may sound boring, but actually this is quite interesting because now we're a bit more confident saying that a majority of software developers that are signing up for the SaaS version of GitLab consider themselves as novice in DevOps. And this is interesting in the sense that now that we know this, now that we're a bit more certain that this might be the case, how can we infuse this in our daily work? And not only at the beginning of the flow, not only in sign up, not only in onboarding, but through the app. And another question that was raised was, would it be the same for self-managed? Like, do software developer installing GitLab and taking care of everything, would there be more novice or experience? And at the moment, we don't know this. So we thought this would be an interesting follow-up. Another change that we did was in the trial sign-up flow. So we had this hunch looking at the data. Basically, we saw that 25% of SaaSkit trial came from within the trial pages and from one specific place. Now I'm going to show you, this is one of the trial page. I'm going to stop real quick. Can anyone identify something that could be wrong here?
Anyone have a guess?
I'll make a guess since no one else is brave enough. I'll take the chance of looking dumb. It only asks for the company name. It doesn't ask for my name personally. What if I don't intend to use this for a company? It just immediately I'm like, well, that's awkward. What's going on?
That's interesting. Yeah, so yeah, maybe it's because I isolated this, but your first name, last name would be filled in the step before. So the idea wouldn't be to show it there as well. But what you raise is, yeah, as a individual user, like, why would I fill a company name, right? So it's not about the fields. All of the fields here are basically used for marketing and sales to qualify the leads on the trial. But really, what is happening is, if you look at, I mean, this is our hypothesis, we might be wrong as well. But if you look at the headline and the copy is, we are saying free gold trial and free trial, and every steps before in the marketing website clearly emphasize on starting a free trial. Now I'm a free user. I also have this option in the bottom of the page, which is saying skip trial and continue with a free account, which is a bit odd, right? Because a trial is supposed to be a free account, right? But I think this copy was here. It's because internally, the way we make a distinction between paid trial users and free users is this way. We basically say a free account user is not a trial user, but both are using a free version of GitLab. It's just that one has more feature and is limited. The other one has less features. So seeing this, our hypothesis was like, simplifying our copy is likely to clarify the whole process of completing the trial form. And as a result of that, we might see an increase of number in trials started. So again, simple change. We just remove everything that was stating free account next to skip trial, basically. This is an active experiment, so we might be wrong. We don't know yet, but we thought that this was awfully confusing. So to verify, basically to measure this, we want to observe a decrease in the 25% that I showed you earlier, and observe an increase in trial started. So this is my first stop. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I'll ask a question. Those who've worked with me for a long time know that UI copy is it's like my personal passion and love, because I think it's so deeply important, and I think it's something we forget about a lot. So I see you super focused on UI copy, which makes me very, very happy. And I'm wondering, when I ask this the right way, how can we take the things that you're learning, the level of importance that you are giving to UI copy, and help spread that knowledge to other designers? You don't have to answer that right this second, but I would love for y'all to be thinking about that. This is cool.
I have just one hint. For now, I think what would be good is to have some really like concrete proof that, you know, changing this copy is leading to that, which we might actually have, because we run a similar copy experiment for users that were already having a GitLab account and starting a trial. And we also changed this piece of copy and we isolated the change. And it was really interesting. That's also why we run this experiment, is because we run it elsewhere and we saw really good results. So let's see where that happened. But I guess my first take is maybe sharing it a bit more.
Well,
when
we
have results.
We have design.gitlab.com, which is our go-to source for how we do things as designers at GitLab. So if there are interesting things that you can share in the content section of that, man, I think that would be valuable. You don't have to do it today. It's when you're ready.
Noted. Thank you. Any questions? Otherwise, I'm going to move on to one of the next changes. All right. So another one that we did was to simplify flow. So here I'm still going to be talking about the trial flow. So it takes roughly 5 steps and 17 fields today to start a SaaS trial of GitLab. This may sound like a lot. It is kind of a lot, but 1.5 years ago, this was way more. So that's already a good change. But obviously, it has room for improvement. And one of the pages that we identified was this registration page. It's kind of like, I don't know, heavy in terms of fields. And it also is different from our other sign up pages. because something is missing. So again, I can pause here. Do you have any hints on what could be missing from this page?
Password confirmation. That's my first guess.
Okay.
Or maybe
So-
that you can't.
I was gonna
You have to
guess.
start a free trial. Or something not to.
I was gonna guess username.
Okay.
Or
So
Is it
email.
the option to sign in with other things like Google or
yes,
Apple?
exactly. This is this one. That was our hypothesis, is basically providing a way for a user to register using a single sign-on method. So exactly like Google, GitHub, any other third-party services, is most likely to make the process way smoother than filling all of these fields. So to verify that, same thing, we're currently running an experiment where we are adding two button, so single sign-on button, Google and GitHub. We choose Google and GitHub because what we saw in the data is that most of our current users, so not users that are registering for GitLab, but users that have a GitLab account, they have a tendency to link Google and GitHub to their GitLab account, and massively compared to the other options that we have, which are Bitbucket, Twitter, Jira, and maybe another one that I'm forgetting. So this is why we're starting with these two. And then we'll measure success on the number of trials started in this case, because we think that simplifying this registration process is likely to lead users to be more inclined to complete it. And we'll obviously observe and monitor what's happening with those two buttons, like are they clicked, are they really used or not. Again, I'm going to pause quickly if I have time. Do you have any questions on this? All right. And the last one, okay, so here I should have images. Sorry about that. But it was about adding reassurance. So if you check other SaaS products that for some reason don't appear here, and I don't know why, sorry about that. But basically, this page is also missing some reassurance. It's like, what features are you going to try? What is the value of starting a trial? And our hypothesis is that most likely Reassurance could play a crucial role to friendly nudge both users and buyers' persona to continue the trial registration process. So this is one of the changes that we worked on. So adding this bit of content here. So we used the GitLab value proposition because we thought that it was most likely going to appeal to buyers' personas. And then we used some social proof, exactly, with a couple of like company that GitLab is working for. And then we re-emphasize on the fact that you don't need a credit card to start a trial. And this illustration is courtesy of Vic in marketing, and thank her because it's really cool. So yeah, we're gonna run this experiment soon. It's actually in development. So to see basically, again, are we observing any increase in trials due to this bits of content added? And what we want to also monitor is the differences that we have in base and variant in people that go to the first step of the trial and then go to the second step of the trial. Are there any drops? Like, are there more drops for people that didn't get exposed to the reassurance or not? And obviously keep monitoring this keep trial rates. Do you have any question on this?
After the free trial expires after 30 days, do we just cancel the trial, or do we email and say something like, do you need more time to evaluate it? I only ask because Basecamp seems to do that. If you do a free trial in Basecamp, they email you and say like, do you need more time? Because we can give you another 30 days.
So we do have some emails that are being sent. So if I'm not mistaken, we have 4 emails, so 1 a week, but they're meant to pitch the feature that you can use during your trial. I actually don't know if we have this. I should check it out. That's a good question, because we are planning to do the same thing in app. So basically what you said, just reminding users that their trial is about to end. So yeah, this is something that I should look into. Thank you for raising this.
That was a great question. I have a follow-on question. So those emails, I mean, that's a critical part of the user experience. Are we UXing those? Are we considering them as part of the workflow?
They're considered as part of the workflow, but I think marketing kind of worked more on this. And now what's going to happen in with conversion, we're more going to work down the funnel. So what I showed here was like up in the funnel, which was also like kind of overlapping with what marketing does. But since we cleared up like 1.5 years ago the trial flow, and that we have more and more people starting a trial, now we have a lot of work to do after they start a trial, because for now there is nothing in app. So we do send the emails, but then we also have to consider that the person that's starting a trial might not be the person using the app. The person starting the trial might be a buyer persona and doing this for his organization, and the people that are exposed to the feature and that actually see the benefits of the trial might be different. And our hypothesis in conversion is that we should target the people that are using the app so that they can afterwards kind of bring back the knowledge to buyer's persona to then upgrade after a trial. And most likely we want this to happen within the app. So for the emails, to be quite honest, like for now, conversion is not going to work on that. We obviously see it, like it's mapped in our flow. We have a mural flow on this, so I can link it in the doc. But we most likely won't work on the emails. I know that marketing is planning to work on it for sure.
Okay. Because as you're talking, I'm thinking there's some really interesting problems here. So as the buyer who's not involved in usage, if those emails told me the impact to my team on the trials, like this many people have been using it, this is how much they've been using it, possibly even like this is who has been using it, could be really, really powerful. So I get it. There's a lot to do. You got to prioritize what you're doing, but I wouldn't let that fall off my radar.
Sure. Any other questions?
Yeah, just on that, I'll say that I signed up for a gold trial back in August and received a couple of emails with links to YouTube videos that were a little outdated. And I shared that with Taylor, my product manager. There was one, I got a couple of emails that was, telling me how I can optimize my free trial and the things that I get with gold that I wouldn't get with a free trial. And some of those things I know with regards to application security anyways were outdated. So I think that is something to look into. I need to follow up with Taylor because that was an action item that he took on for that. So I don't know how much, your team, the growth team or UX is involved with that, but it definitely was not a great experience.
Yeah, it's good to know. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
This is a broader question, but do we have documentation on like the patterns for design templates or email templates and stuff? I ran into a case where GitLab sends users a file over email, and I was like, I have no idea how this email looks or like what they get, what type of messaging goes in the body. I didn't see anything in pajamas, so I wasn't sure if we had that somewhere in the handbook.
Yeah, I don't think we do for the in product emails that we send. We should have it, but we don't. Marketing does have some of this templates and some guidelines for emails that they send. So I would say we have to look at what we already do and try to be consistent as much as possible. But I think it would be, it should be in the backlog somewhere. We should have it on the to-do list that we should add this to pajamas or somewhere appropriate.
I agree. We're working on the FY22 UX direction right now, and this came up as an idea for something that we should focus on. Long story short, I think it was too tactical for our annual direction, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. And then just as a reminder, in our design system site, there's a section for even branding content. So if this doesn't fit necessarily under the product design content, but is more closely aligned with branding, like we have a spot for it.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, I think I'm gonna leave some time for Emily. That was it. That was my last slide. If you have any question, other question, feel free to put it in the doc and I'll answer async. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I think, Kevin, there was one other, Austin's question got answered. There was one other question that Mike added. I don't know if you want to answer that one here. He asked, Mike, do you want to?
Sorry, do we have time? Or
Emily's
Yeah,
presentation
sorry.
is pre-recorded. Yeah.
Exactly what I was gonna say.
okay. Yeah, I just want to preface this with I'm an experiment nerd, so if it's pedantic, just ignore me. I love putting predictions and hypotheses because that's kind of how we learn. It's okay to be wrong, and the prediction primes us for learning, to be redundant. And so I'm wondering, do you put predictions in your hypotheses? And then also, do you have like a go-to template that you've found really resonates with the team? Yeah, those are my basic questions.
So prediction being, for example, just setting a goal and saying, if we don't see it, I don't know, increasing from X%, it's not a success.
Right, maybe it wasn't a success, and why didn't we see it at the increase we thought we would?
Yeah, so we do, yeah, obviously we do try to have this because otherwise, basically we're just kind of randomly moving metrics, right? But then kind of observing what's happening is, to be honest, always a bit of a struggle for us, mainly because of our tech stack on how we're conducting experiments. Because right now we're using kind of a custom implementation using GitLab feature flags that is then passing the data to Sisense, and then basically for product managers and UXers, getting data means writing SQL queries, which is not user-friendly for us. So trying to identify what goes in is sometimes hard, and we have to fall back to the data team for this. When we have a doubt about the data, like when something looks funny in Sisense, we usually kind of fall back to the data team and open a request for that. And for your other question on the template, we do have a template issue that we're using that is composed of a hypothesis, a business problem, a design section, and then we just show how do we split up everything. I'll link it at the doc. And yeah, and then we try to say, how do we want to measure success on this?
Awesome, thanks. And I just discovered the growth experiment label. So that that gives me a lot to kind of dig into and explore. So thanks. It was a really great presentation, Kevin.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Kevin. All right.